preparing to go live. Should be going live here now. Okay, perfect. So we are live now on Facebook, Christine, and the kids. I'm very excited to have all of you guys here. You guys have such a different story, with who we play for. A lot of times with sudden cardiac arrest and things, we're talking to athletes who go through this after they've been working out or something. You guys have a very unique story, in that it happened right here in Central Florida at one of our theme parks. So,
Correct. Yeah.
Christine, I know it's probably kind of scary going back to that day because it was so traumatic, but you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were at Epcot. This was
hmm
just like 7 months ago or so.
Correct. Not even a
And
year.
yeah, not even a year, and you guys are on Guardians of the Galaxy. I have
Yep.
not been on that ride yet, but have you guys gone back yet?
Disney was wonderful to us. They actually brought us back and let us go and do all kinds of tours, but we did not ride Guardians of the Galaxy. Now,
I would.
I don't even think I could, even if I wanted to, but now, unfortunately, that he has the implanted cardiac device, he can't ride on it any longer,
Okay.
but I still don't think I would be able to,
For a
regardless.
good reason. For a good reason. So let's get into why we're not riding that anymore. You guys are there last September and you get on the ride. Everyone's obviously excited to ride this awesome new ride at Disney. What do you remember happening like first right off the bat when the ride gets going?
So as soon as the ride started, he passed out. Or what I thought was him passing out. He's ridden the ride before, so maybe we thought, I don't know, are you excited? What happened? But he didn't come back. So we had to actually ride throughout the whole ride because it's on like a track. So we had to be on the full ride before we could kind of take him off and start trying to figure out, problem shoot what was going on. So we did the whole ride. We pulled him off. When at that point, it's about a 3 minute ride. So at that point, his lips were turning blue because there was
Oh
no
my God.
oxygen that was happening. And I felt and tried to listen for a heartbeat, and I couldn't feel one. So I started CPR while my husband was kind of running around begging someone to come in and help, a nurse, a doctor, or whatever. So while he was doing that, the Disney team had decided that we needed to pull out the AED machine and get him hooked up. Um, Once we got him hooked up to that, the AED machine, I'm sure you know, it will say shock advised. So he got a shock from the AED, which got his heart back kind of back online. And then at that point, my husband had found a firefighter and nurse, husband and wife,
My
that
God.
came in and continued CPR post shock until the medics arrived.
How hectic was that moment for you? I mean, not just as a mom, but at a theme park with all of this happening and the chaos around. I mean, it sounded like Disney, like the staff was kind of prepared at least a little bit to be able to help you guys, kind of
Yeah,
figure things out.
I don't even know if hectic is the right word because
Yeah.
in that moment, you feel like you are alone. That time is just dragging by and not moving. And so truly hectic didn't even feel right. It almost felt like, we were just screaming for help. We were screaming for people to come and help us, and we didn't know what to do. And it was horrifying. It was scary. It was more than anything I could ever have imagined to even say is my most terrifying time of my life. Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame you. That is terrifying. I mean, I can just imagine not just the terrifyingness of like what happened right after, but just watching your own child on the ride and you having to go through. I think that is so crazy too. You're going through this ride, just like my kid is passed out here. I mean, that must have just been so scary.
Yeah. It was horrible. But I mean, like you said, and what we wanted to point out too is that the Disney staff was very well trained. There was an AED machine readily available right as he got off the ride, which is such a huge thing because they truly told us that he got hospital like timing in his response. So not only
Wow.
was I CPR certified, So I was able to give him another family member joining. So I was able to give him hand-to-hand CPR right away, but he was able to get that AED shock. So that is such an important piece of the story because we know that AEDs are not readily available everywhere. So for him to have been able to get that, that truly made the difference of not only him walking away, but the fact that he doesn't have any residual issues from being on that ride for so long without oxygen.
Right. So you guys, you get his heart going again, and then you go to the hospital. What was happening there? I mean, what was the diagnosis? Was this something that he had been living with and you guys just didn't know, or what was kind of going, what did they figure out?
Very truly, we had no idea what had set this in motion. So when we went to the hospital, we actually went to the emergency room first, where we stabilized him. So he was on a respirator and intubated. They did a CT scan to make sure that it wasn't like a brain issue. And then he was life flighted to the downtown Orlando hospital, where we spent the next couple of days running multiple tests on every organ, function, everything. And we narrowed it down to a heart disorder that was always there, a genetic heart disorder, but we had no idea that it was even within our families. We had no idea that he was a carrier. And then it took we had to make some decisions moving forward, what we were going to do before we got the 100% genetic results back. But once we got the genetic results back, it proved that we were correct, that it was the heart disorder, and that the steps that we took were the right steps.
How has life changed? I mean, as we were saying earlier, we're not going on the ride anymore, but
Right.
how has life changed for him, other than, theme parks?
He had to have the heart surgery to put the implanted device in. He's 6 years old. He is 44 pounds. So the device is very prevalent on his body. And I think that took a lot to get used to. Seeing, you can truly see it. So that alone was kind of hard to get used to, and even hard for us. Like, we're used to picking him up and throwing him around and playing with him. He's all boy. He's all
Yes.
full of energy. And so we had to get adjusted to that device. He's on medication 3 times a day, a beta blocker to keep his heart rate down. And then there are things in life he won't be able to do. Contact sports is one of them. Like we talked about, the roller coasters are out. Anything that's really going to elevate his heart rate, we want to try to stay away from, because this is not a structural issue. It is the it's the beat of his heart. So we want to keep it at a really kind of low pace.
So, as far as like kind of going forward, besides that too, I know you kind of go, before this all happened, you were CPR certified. You could see
Yes.
the need for AEDs. How has this kind of changed your perspective just going forward about maybe what's needed in the world to either prevent this or be ready for this to happen to someone else?
Well, first, the heart disorder that he has, it's not preventable. So because of that, I wanted to think about awareness. I am an educator in a high school, and I am CPR certified because I'm an educator, but never did I think or even know the statistics behind the sudden cardiac arrest within the school system, within student athletes. I had no idea. And so once we knew he was okay, our first step was to thank all of the people who stepped in and helped and were trained and didn't know what to do, because I feel like that's such an important piece. And then the second step was to bring awareness, because thank God I did have some CPR training. Thank God there was an AED. I mean, the statistics of surviving a sudden cardiac arrest outside of a hospital is 10%. It's so low. So we really just want to, number one, help parents be prepared for any situation, right? You as a parent, you're the first line of defense for your kid in all situations. And so it was such a small thing that I did and kept up with that literally helped save my son's life. So bringing CPR awareness and making sure that parents know that they can be CPR trained There's avenues out there. I just happen to use my job, but there are avenues out there. So we try and get CPR classes available for parents. And then the heart screenings, especially in like your young athletes, are so, I feel like, so important.
Right.
I truly thought that it would be like an old person one day that I would do CPR on, or maybe a kid around a pool. Never did I realize that there was so much heart disease and disorder in young people. And as
Right.
an educator, I see a lot of young kids. I mean, they're super athletic, they're super competitive. I feel like now more than ever, we are more aware of like our bodies and pushing our limits. I see a lot of kids that are consuming a lot of energy drinks and a lot of like high
Yeah.
caffeine. Uh, so I am like, hey, are we aware that there are things out there that could
Right.
affect your heart? And I asked my students, like, have you ever had a heart screening before? And they tell me, no, I've done my whatever it is that you have to get your check in order to play a sport, but heart screening is
Okay.
not included in that.
Right.
So I really am trying to bring awareness to heart screening as well. So CPR and heart screening are
Yeah.
like my two big pushes that I'm just trying to continue to talk about and reach out to my community about.
Well, we love people who unfortunately take a tragedy but make it into something that they can push and, help us join this fight to keep it going. So my last question for you, I like to ask everybody on these, and this is one of our big things we like to ask is obviously the name of our organization is who we play for. So everybody has a why and a reason behind what they do. So Christine, who would you say you play for now?
My fucking gonna get emotional on that one.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you that, to be honest with you, of course, I can say like I'm doing this for my children, but I feel like I was very blessed. Again, that percentage is 10% of people who survive sudden cardiac arrest. So I feel like I need to be a voice for the parents who did not fall in that 10% and who probably don't have the strength to talk about the loss of a child, and we feel so lucky that it wasn't us. So who I'm playing for and who I'm trying to bring awareness for are for those parents who were not lucky enough, or just they weren't able to hold on to their kiddos for a very long time. So that's really who we're trying to help and speak for, if that makes sense.
yeah,